John, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on. I've been excited to come on. I've seen what you guys are doing. I've seen Reunited. Reunited initially, like a bit. What's that? And then I'm starting to clue. We started to clue on, and then I'm watching the podcast, and I'm working with you behind the scenes, and I understand the vision, and I'm actually excited to be on and come out and have a chat with you,
John.
see where things go.
John, it's our pleasure. It's the reason why you're here, bro. Like seriously, I look at your life and I look at what you represent in your life as well. And I see that, I'm like, we need more of that. Yeah. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I came for. You've spoken my love language. I got the compliment, so I can leave.
No.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's a lovely compliment. I'm not necessarily, I'm not trying to leave that certain image or impression, but I'm just basically focusing on the job I've got to do, the work that I have to do. And, sometimes along the way, some people feel like they get value out of that. And then for me, if you're building value, then you're doing something good, and you should just double down on that. And then the market tells you if you're not providing value, you start to get nasty phone calls. People swear at you and X, Y, Z, and then you go, okay, maybe I should pivot.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Has that happened yet?
Has that happened?
Yeah.
You know what? It's one of those things, like early on in the business, we've been running for 13 years. Early on, we had more run-ins with clients because we didn't have good expectations set up with clientele. We were still very young. I started the business at 25 years old. So
an accounting business.
I became a chartered accountant. I had about 7-8 years experience in a mid-tier firm. It was called Hall Chadwick. I did a cadetship and I went through the program. I love the cadetship program because it sort of trains you from nothing out of school to become an accountant. And, you earn your stripes and you get qualified. But the problem is because it's so accelerated and so quick, you're a 25-year-old that doesn't know much, but you think you know everything. So then you go out into the real world, start a business and do your thing. And you learn very quickly that, okay, clients are real people, businesses are real people. They've got real world problems. And I've got limited experience to real world experience. I have had some at the time, but not as much. So we have run-ins with clients where I've got expectations about, I just came from a chartered firm. They're charging, for what we're doing, we're charging $20,000 a year. I'm charging you $6,000. You should be, in your mind, you're like, you should be, worshipping me because I'm doing all this. But in reality, it's not the way the world works, right? There's different calibers of business, different sizes. So we learn a lot about expectations. I didn't have anyone threaten me or abuse me, per se, but we are definitely a lot stronger now on the front end with expectations set up with, this is exactly who we are. This is the service I offer. This is how we perceive that we add value. If you think that that's something you need, then come on board. And if you like us, come on board. Like literally, I'm not doing as much of the hard selling as I would have in the beginning. It's like, you want to become a client of the firm, come in, meet our team or jump on a Zoom, meet some people. And I literally say this to people. I say, just work out if you like us.
Yeah.
Like if you like me, if you actually like us and you like the team and we can do, and you want us to do all the things we said, then and only then, like go ahead. Otherwise, we don't want to set up for failure from the first step.
John, like for me, it wasn't really that hard to not like you, to be honest with you. In my eyes, from day one, look, I quoted this from day one. It's mine. I can trademark it. I'll talk to you about it.
Yeah. All right. Done.
Okay. You are the legit area accountant.
The area accountant.
You're the area
from
accountant.
the area,
like
Habib.
You're from the.
We're from the area. Yeah, absolutely.
You grew up in Greenacre.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're a diehard doggies fan.
Yes.
You do forward driving.
Yeah.
And you hunt.
Done that.
Tell me an accountant that's hit all those criteria and is legit.
Yeah, I know. I think the secret sauce at Latitude Accountants is we're not like accountants. Typically speaking, when you look at us, we ask people, all right, what do you think I do for work? If they don't say construction or drug dealer, then I'll give you $1,000 because they're the two things they look at. They look at, young Lebanese people from Western Sydney, and that's the drug dealer's the joke. Construction, pretty good guess.
Pretty good guess,
yeah. It's funny that you say Greenacre though, because we've got some shared Greenacre history.
We do.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Growing up in the area, I think on the same street.
We were neighbours.
Neighbours. We were neighbours,
Yeah.
So I didn't want to bring that up with you. I didn't know if you, I thought I'll bring that up with you to see if you knew.
My sister told me, that when you used to go over to that your uncle's, the uncle, which is Ammo, our neighbour, that was John's dad.
That's right.
I'm like, what?
Yeah, that's right.
He's from the area. He's from our area.
We're from the same street, man. We grew up on one of the. I don't know if you knew this because you were very young, but we grew up on a rough street, man.
It was rough.
It was a real rough street. It was a tough street. Cars being burnt out. You know, the drug dealers down the road, rough people. It was like Western Sydney proper, like late '90s, early 2000s. Gosling Street was a rough place. Beautiful place now. It's not the same. It's fully developed and that. And there's no drug dealers there. If anyone's watching. There's no drug dealers there anymore.
You just have to say.
Just FYI, I don't want the prices of Gosling Street property to plummet because it's a good place. Yeah. It was a different place 20 years ago, 15 years ago. Not a horrible place, but you know, growing up in Greenacre, you are from a ethnic minority. We grew up, in Western Sydney. You look at the news, there is the marginalisation, there is the stigma. I don't think I faced it or we faced it in the racism sense that maybe earlier Australians faced because by early 2000s it's definitely a lot more multicultural growing up in Western Sydney. School was multicultural, footy team I played for, the workplaces I worked at. And I've got to say, it's personalities as well. So for me, I didn't go around looking for racism, so I didn't find it. I didn't go around going, man, this teacher doesn't like me because I'm a Lebo. You know what I mean? Oh, this boss won't give me a promotion because I'm a Lebo. My dad taught me, basically, you work hard, you do your absolute best, okay, and the rewards will come. So I didn't have that. I was lucky that I was raised in a way to not have like a bit of a victim mindset. Not that everyone that experiences racism and bad things in life is, has a bad mindset. But for me, I wasn't looking for it, so I didn't really find it.
Yeah, for sure. It's about what you do about it. Yeah, and in Gosling Street, like, it was a place where you could be a victim if you wanted to. Like, you had every opportunity to.
Yeah, man. I saw some things on Gosling Street. Like, there was one guy growing up there, he was building his house up the road, and he was doing the concrete himself, so he needed that steel Rio mesh, whatever. Yeah. And there was guys down the bottom building townhouses, and so they got the delivery of all the steel one night, and it was about 8 p.m., 9 p.m. at night. I went outside, and I see this man up the road walking up the street with steel like mesh on his back, like 5 by 5 meter. I was just walking up the road one sheet at a time. I went up to him, like, what's going on? What are you doing? He goes, I have to take the mesh. I didn't ask too many questions because on Gosling Street there's no snitches, right? So I said, all right, I got 2 options. I'll go just let him do it on his own or help him. So we recruited the boys. Next thing you know, like 6 boys were helping him move this metal. I think it was Rio or whatever it's called, stuff you put in the concrete up. The next day he had a brand new concrete slab poured, and the guys down the bottom from the big building company didn't have any mesh left to build their townhouses. So that was normal. Another time, like we had the pizza hustle going on in Gosling Street. So if you were ordering pizza and you didn't tell the other boys you were ordering pizza, you're a dog. Why are you a dog? Not because you want to order pizza and you're going to shout them pizza. No one's rich to shout anyone pizza. But at the very least, if you're ordering pizza, you have to tell the other boys, hey, I'm ordering pizza. You go order the pizza, and the second rule is when the pizza driver comes, you have to tell him, my front door lock is broken. You have to come to the back door and I'll pay you. So he comes to the back door, you take the pizza off him, you pay him the $20, and while he's in the back, you have a chat with him. Oh, how's your day? Tell me about your life, X, Y, Z. In the meantime, the boys who don't have pizza, they ransack his car for pizzas. Because it doesn't go out. Back in the day, Pizza Hut didn't go out with 1 or 2 deliveries. They'll take 3, 4 deliveries out, go do the run. So after a while, Pizza Hut decided no more Gosling Street Pizza Hut deliveries. I don't know if you noticed, you probably didn't have much Pizza Hut growing up after about 2003.
Yeah, I thought it was just my dad who was being
stupid. Yeah, he called. He goes, no, we don't do Gosling Street, sorry. The guys would go ransack. So people stealing pizza, cars getting burnt out, guys stealing building supplies from guys. It was a beautiful place to grow up, honestly. Like the community element was nice. The sport, we played cricket on the road, footy, touch footy. Anyone would do anything for you there. But it was a bit of a hustler's economy. Yeah. It was a rough place, man.
Right. It's perfect for accounting.
Perfect place to learn accounting. Yeah. So I had to pivot. I had to decide early in Gosling Street. I go, what's my life path, all right? I go, I have 2 real options. Construction, I said, Dad, I want to do construction. I want to be a builder. He goes, listen, if you want to be a builder, you need money to build. right now you don't have any money, so don't worry about building. So then construction was off the table, and I looked at him. He was in taxis, so I could drive a taxi, buy a taxi, hire a taxi, do the taxi thing. And the guys down the road were drug dealers.
Yeah.
So when making the serious life decision of do I go down the taxi route or the drug dealer route, accounting wasn't on the horizon yet. I thought, okay, let's see how these people live, But I actually saw something horrific happen to the drug dealers at the end of the street, where one day they got, after I'd spent some time with them playing video games like Super Nintendo or PlayStation 1, I left the house. They got raided by the cops. That didn't bother me. Like, no one wants to get raided, but that didn't scar me. What scarred me was watching their mum run out and to try stop the cops from arresting her sons. And then one of the big cops like tackled her because she was trying to like get in the way of the arrest. Because she's screaming, you know, saying, my sons are good boys, what are you doing, all this. They crash tackle her. She's still trying to fight and resist, and they're trying to arrest the other sons, and then they pepper sprayed his mum. Bro, do you want your mum to get pepper sprayed?
Straight up.
I just watched my mate's mum get pepper sprayed by the cops in the eyes. I thought, like, what an embarrassment. Like, it's a jirsa. Do you know what I mean? Like, embarrassing, it's not right. I go, this path does not work in the future. I have to build a pathway. And then obviously we grew up very moral. You know, our parents taught us, you know, Christian values, and there was that side. Like, we've got to do something, law-abiding. The repercussions of the bad life, the area life and all that is not for me. What's a legitimate way I'm going to make money in the world? And lo and behold, we had one family friend in the area who actually did well for themselves in what we perceived as like optics. Like, they had a brand new beautiful house and a brand new Jeep Cherokee car. And I go, all right, not drug dealers, not taxi. They're not in construction. Dad said no construction. What are they doing? I found out Uncle Andre's wife, she's an accountant. She runs an accounting firm, and like, she's built a brand new house, and he's done well. He's got like a small business and beautiful family and brand new car. And at the time, I was actually about to go to my formal and I needed a car.
Okay.
So I thought, all right, maybe I'll go and ask if I can borrow their car for the formal. What a stupid thing to do, right? Like,
You see a nice car, you want to take it home.
you want to take it to the formal, but like, you're a kid. Like, now in hindsight, I think, imagine a 17-year-old kid came and asked me to borrow my car for his formal. You know, I would say yes, but like, I'm stupid when I say yes. So I went up to them and I said, oh, look, I want to take, there's a girl I really liked. I said, she's, you know, someone I knew. I want to take her to the formal. I want to impress her with the car. And then they said, yeah, no problem. So I ended up taking the car, beautiful Jeep Cherokee, picked up the girl, took her to the formal. We fell in love.
Oh.
She, you know, like, it set up my life. I ended up marrying this girl, ended up having kids with her. She's still with me today.
Wait, is this
my wife? You know what I mean? Actually happened. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I got that sort of planted a seed. It's like, okay, accounting. Maybe I'll do accounting. And then the other thing was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. So I'm a very planned and structured person, like organised. I get that from my mum. She's very organised. Thanks, Mum. I said, okay, what I'll do is I'll go into accounting, I'll learn accounting, and then I know as an accountant, I'll be able to look at everyone's books and I'll see which business makes the most money, and then I'll go into that when I'm older. So here I am still 20 years later in accounting, trying to work out which business I'm going to go into when I get older.
Still haven't figured it out, bro.
I haven't figured it out yet. Yeah.
Need help?
If you could help me, I would appreciate it, man.
Definitely.
What would you suggest I do when I grow up?
2 years into business, so, you know, obviously not so much about it.
Well, I look at your books. Maybe soon I'll start doing what you're doing. If things like when things take
like
off.
that.
If this gets really good, I've sort of started a podcast recently, so maybe that says something about what you're doing.
That's it.
Maybe I've uncovered some facts.
I find it really surprising that, you know, we came from Gosling Street, right? We came from an area where I'm sure there's a lot of other streets at that time which were in a very similar situation. Mountain Druitt was off the bat. Yeah. And
I think Tilapia Street was the real bad one.
Tilapia.
Yeah,
it wasn't too far.
No, it's a couple of streets down. Yeah.
And it's like those situations. It's like basically Middle East in Australia went wrong, right? In certain situations.
Yeah, man.
And then to see that we were there in the midst of it, and to choose that decision between no, we're not going to go that path. We're actually going to choose the other path. It's an important, like a heuristic. It's an important way to make decisions. What do you think allowed you to make that decision from a values point, value standpoint?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was very principled as a child, very obedient. Like, despite the funny stories about stealing pizza and XYZ, like if my parents ever found out I did anything wrong, and I genuinely wouldn't do anything wrong. Like I had a strong sense of fear that I was doing the wrong thing, you know, from a religious Christian perspective, but mostly from my dad. My dad was very, very fun and very good, but really good disciplinarian. Like he spent a lot of time with us, played a lot of sport with us. And why I say he was a good disciplinarian is not because, yeah, obviously, you know, parents back then all smacked their kids and all that, you know, and whatever. Like, of course, we got belted, but not in a bad way. It's that he didn't even actually hit me that much or smack me or correct me that way. It's that he built in me a fear and hatred of disappointing him. Like, there was nothing that I was more scared of as a kid than my dad being like, sitting me down and saying, "So Johnny, why did you do that? Do you think it was the right thing to do?" "No, Dad, I'm disappointed." Him saying that to me, it was like I just broke and got destroyed inside. Like had such a soft, tender heart towards my dad. My mum too, but my mum wasn't a strict disciplinarian. My mum was more like, you know, like so encouraging and supporting and like made me feel comfortable no matter what I did. Like my mum never made me feel bad for even the bad things I did. My dad was the one who's like, "It's disappointing. Did you do the right thing?" Like just candor, like, "Did you do the right thing? Did you know it was the wrong thing to do? Why did you do it?"
Yeah.
Him saying stuff like that to me really meant like I was like a pussy as a kid. Like I didn't do nothing. Like I almost did nothing wrong. Everyone does some things wrong, but I was like, I did not want to do things, even to the point where my cousins or mates would come over and they go, "We're going to go do this or go do that." I knew I hadn't done homework or an assignment or something. I wouldn't even ask my dad if we can go do it, because I knew the sequence was this: "Dad, I want to go out with my cousins because they're going to go to the Easter show." "All right, have you done your assignments?" I can't lie either. He's like, "I'm trapped." "No, I haven't." "Then why are you asking?" The answer is no. But what used to spin me out is if I was asking one out, if I could go to do something and it was just me and my dad, there was a sequence. But if my cousins would come and they'd ask on my behalf, he became the benevolent king. It was like, "Of course you can. Why are you even asking? You know you can do anything you want. Here, you want some money? Go enjoy yourself." Yeah, so the morals came from I think having fatherhood, like having a father in the home, is one of the most important things. It was very important for me growing up. My dad was always there for us, and my dad instilled in me a strong sense of morals, fear of authority, respect, I could say, for authority, wanting to do the right thing, spiritual and like religious belief, which underpinned that. So like it had a basis. It wasn't just rules for rules' sake. If we wanted to go deeper into the whys, the why was God, and here's the hows, like you don't do this, you don't do that, and whatever. So that was just like, okay, do well in school. Report day was the scariest day of the term. I had to get a good report. I was scared, like showing my dad. You did well. Dad was more interested in the B rather than the A, the comment which was neutral rather than positive. Do you know what I mean? Why the score ranking, you came third in the class one, you come first. After the footy game, playing football, like score a try, do well, get man of the match, but why'd you miss that tackle? So just a relentless setting of standards from the masculine in the house. Strong alpha, and he raised me. And mum was a great mum, made me feel comfortable. She was the sanctuary when dad was too tough. So, you know, mum was like, it was a perfect yin and yang, mum and dad.
It reminds me so much of like as you're saying that, I'm seeing my own childhood.
Yeah.
As you're saying that, I think it's such a common thing with Middle Easterns who have migrated or at least seen the difficulties of the third world country they came from. And they come here saying, we're going to come with all that experience, regardless of how hard it was to get here, or whether it was the grandparents or their fathers, and they came, they're like, no, we're going to have a different life here. Yeah. And they made sure, like the fathers, it was their sons. For me, my dad used to be the exact same way. He wouldn't look at anything that was the A or what I did well in. He's like, well, that you're Aid, you're my son. Of course you're going to do that. But why did you do that wrong?
Yeah. And do you feel like it was everything? So like if you got academic, sports, morals, you know, religion, like was he across the spectrum? He expected 100% on everything. Everything, yeah. There was no, my dad was the same. It was no like, it's okay, you're good at sport and you're a good boy. I don't care about school if your marks. It was like your teachers have to say the right thing about you. Your grandparents have to. The football coach has to. Everyone has to. And it was a huge responsibility. And I guess I was just lucky, like it's not me, I'm just lucky I was made in a way where I just absorbed that pressure and focused it and said, all right, I'm going to perform, let's do it.
100%. I see how that could be a problem. Like I can see how for some people, especially if it's not phrased in the right way, it's easy to become a victim in that way, especially if you're on Gosling Street. You have that in the house and you have outside of the house, you have that happening. It's so easy, especially now, to create a mindset where no one else is having my problems. Why am I facing it? Feel sympathy for me.
Yeah.
The difference there is because we both chose and were raised up in the principle of being grateful about what we have, those standards, the really high expectations was basically passed on from father to son. And I'm assuming we both have that, where it's like, no, now for myself, I have that expectation that I want to be the best version of myself that I can be. Why am I not doing well in this aspect of life? How can I change it?
Yeah. And do you feel like, when things go wrong, you turn the finger around and point out yourself? Yeah. You go, where did I fail in this element?
The worst times in my entire life is when I did this.
Yeah. The
worst times. If you had a subjective well-being graph of my life, and I've only lived 22 years, but I'm looking back the past 22 years. Okay. When I look back, subjective well-being, when it was at its lowest is when I turned it from me and did this.
Yeah.
And I realized that it was really low when I did that. I'm like, why is it like that? It's because my whole life the finger was on me.
Yeah.
And the second I turned it away, I lost so much control over myself, where I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's a real gift, but when you realize, you just phrased it in a way that I never really thought about it. Like, I've never linked that. Like, one of my go-to sayings with everyone that knows me is that I'm always doing this. I'm always pointing the finger back at me when something goes wrong at work, whatever. And it's a bit of a joke. It's like, it's my fault, you know what I mean? But the way you phrased it just then was really interesting. Is like, you made it like the upbringing of your dad or your parents, making you like believe that it was your fault. Everything, not your fault, but everything's your responsibility. So then you've just carried that along, and then later in life, if you're inclined to take that off, your innate programming is forcing you to switch it back on.
Precisely.
Well, you said that doesn't always work. Like, what do you mean by that?
I think it's important to identify, for me at least, is when I'm in a situation where I'm always putting the blame on me. Sometimes I can become egotistical in the sense that I think it's all about me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Whereas there are people...
Because you have an ego.
Everyone has an ego.
Do you know what I mean?
And especially in that raising, I think it's very conducive to an ego.
Yeah.
Because it is so, what did you do wrong? What did you do wrong? Get better. So because we're always trying to get better, the super ego goes, okay, I can even get more better now.
Yeah.
And then it inflates and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I've had to go through a lot of ego deaths because of that.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I love that you say that. So you've linked, you put ego and responsibility side by side. You're saying people with egos are likely to, if they direct it, take more responsibility. Whereas people with lesser egos are less likely to take responsibility. So the trap for that person is becoming a full-blown narcissist.
I think it's one way. What do you think about that?
Man, it's good. I'm reflecting on it. I think I've understood that about myself, that I've got a desire to be the best at whatever I do, because adding value is basically my way of fulfilling and giving back based on whatever gifts I've been given. I hate wasted talent. I hate wasted opportunity. For me, wasted opportunity is a miserable thing to have. If I rewind, about 5-6 years, maybe 6 years ago, I was in a bike accident. So I was on a Harley Davidson and I got hit by a car. It was tough, man. I got hit, T-bone, full speed, flying in the air, flew over the site of the accident. My wife was on the back, hit the floor, pass out, wake up, get up, realize that half my body's not functioning, my broken bones on the right side, and then it dawns on you, my wife's on the back, so a big freak out. It's where is she? Is she okay? And hobble over to wherever she is, end up on the floor again. She's there, broken, half a dozen bones. Horrific, tragic circumstance, but something stuck with me. I learned a lot of lessons in that time, but something that hit me within the next few days is my biggest fear coming out of that is that I almost died, and not the fear of death, is that all the things I wanted to do and all the things I could have done that I didn't do. The missed opportunity, the regret of missed opportunity for me was the most fearful thing about stuffing up in life, whether doing something stupid, dying young, ending up in jail, doing something wrong, missing the boat on opportunity. I don't want to be, if I get to an old age, 90 years old on my deathbed, looking back, going, I should have done more of that. I wasted that. You know what I mean? It's a miserable. For me, it's like a trap, or it's jail, to think that I get through X amount of life and I waste anything. So it ties back into my ego. And I guess you have to have a little bit of an overinflated sense of self to think that you're that important or significant anyway. Because the answer, or the flip side to that, is then who cares? Who are you anyway if you wasted your life? You're nothing. You're an idiot. I don't naturally think like that about myself. Sometimes it's good to give myself perspective. I think people that are wired like me, and maybe even like you, it's not a bad thing sometimes to say, in the grand scheme of things, in 1,000 years from now, it's not going to matter. Do you know what I mean? That's a good balancing act. And then for those that are like, everything doesn't matter and always living for the day, they have to turn the dial up and remind themselves, no, they do matter. The decisions matter. Your responsibility matters. You don't want to miss your opportunity. And that's why if you're actually dealing or helping people, you have to go bespoke. You have to go...
Precisely. You
have to meet them where they are and go, okay, how is a person A wired up? Are they wired up already with flex and ego at the top? Or are they someone who's like just friendship and like living for the day and enjoying themselves at the top? And it's like, okay, what are the goals? How does this personality type work against their stated goals? And go, okay, how can you help them mitigate against it? Yeah, so that's, for me, yeah, man, like, if I was going to sit down, not that, I do this much, but if I was to sit down and write down, would I prefer to be one way or another? I'm happy I am this way. I prefer to be this way because I feel like the other side would be a lot harder to get the motivation or to get moving or to get rolling if you're not inclined to be driven. The people who are too driven or egotistical, our challenge is to have friends. We sit back at the end of life, we're 90 years old, we've taken over the world, we've built empires, businesses, we've saved the world, but we've got no friends. There's no one there. Yeah. You're sitting there like a loser, and you go, I did all this, I built all this, but who did I build it for? No one loves me. Do you know what I mean? So the people with the drive, the ego, the flex, the responsibility, always need to remember to love the people. And that's what I say to myself. You got to do it for the love of the people. Because I know my natural state, when I get out of bed in the morning, I want to take over the world. That's not a problem. I don't need to watch too many motivational videos on YouTube with, Morgan Freeman's voice or Arnie, lifting for me to go, okay, I've got to go be the best me I can be today. I do need someone to remind me. Go to the barbecue. Go hang out with the boys, your cousins, your friends, to the party. Do sit with the person. Go see your grandparents in the nursing home. Like, do the thing that doesn't meet the long-term goal, because you know what, you're still a person and people still count. So that's what I'm always reminding myself.
Yeah, that's actually really therapeutic hearing. I find myself in those positions.
You need therapy, so I'm glad that it's therapeutic.
No. Hit it right on the head. Yeah. Self-diagnosis, basically.
I'm not a psychologist, but just from sitting here.
Yeah, no, I genuinely do feel like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's a matter of, I wake up like that. And there's a lot of drive, there's a lot of reason to want to do that because of expectation from young, but it's also I'm wired this way. Yeah. And I wouldn't change it for the world. Then there's the other side. There's always pros and cons. Yeah. Always pros and cons.
So you probably like that, where you feel like, okay, hit the pause, do the friends thing. Like, this won't help me become arm wrestling world champion XYZ, but you know what, like, mum would really love to see me, or XYZ, or insert whatever, mundane, friends-based, human, social need-based thing, insert it, go do that, and then go back to taking over the world. Like, it's 1 hour break, don't worry. Do you know what I mean?
It's weird how tough that can be sometimes, hey?
It is tough.
It's weird.
Because you naturally, man, like your personality, if that's how you are, it's like you're fighting against your nature itself to do what you think is worthless. Let's be honest. You're wired to think what's worthwhile. It's building the business, the empire, achieving my competition goals. And then what do all the losers do? Oh, they're sitting in the pub having drinks, watching the footy, being so like. For you, you're going in there with a goal, bro. You're going in there probably. I don't know what goals, but you're probably like, if I'm going to go, meet someone or do something, mate, like as a goal, it's whatever. But there's people in the world who literally every day after work just hang out and have fun and do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's weird how I find that so different to it's so estranged almost.
Yeah.
And I think if I were to tie it back to I know not everyone listening to this, not everyone watching this would relate to it, and there are a select few, because it's a very masculine imperative. It's a very driven, goal-oriented, intentional imperative, and not everyone has that extremity. There is a spectrum, but not everyone has that extremity.
Yeah.
But I think in the same way that it could be a curse, it's a very big blessing. We're the people that a lot of our friends, a lot of our family tend to rely on because of that very fact.
And it's perfect. Like the way the world's set up, you've got like a good dilution of all the types, in my opinion, from what I've seen and heard. And I see it like just anecdotally in my life. Like I look at my family, got a brother that's like wanting to have fun and do the friends thing, one that's principled and driven, puts his head down, happy to work in a group, one that wants to take over and do the best and build and add value, and then a sister that's more quiet and is helpful, one that's more fun and bubbly. And like you see that humanity is beautiful for that. You don't want to create, like if we were in a computer simulated program, I would think that we're more likely to be programmed in a more generic way. But when I see the variety and like the balance, I'm like, it's a little bit more creative than a copy paste system, and it works. It works in a way, like it keeps the world turning, you know.
Yeah, the world desires balance, and just by the very, very principle of gravity, it needs balance.
Do you know you could be a really good psychopath?
I agree.
But I tell you why you're not. One, I don't think you
Thanks for labeling me. You even had the point as well, like, yo, works.
That was the whole point. I just want to come to you. But like when you think about it, like you're driven and you're strong and you're goal orientated and you want to do all these things.
Yeah.
If you had childhood trauma, like you just added a bit more childhood trauma, a bit more damage, broken, like a little bit broken in the brain, like you could just sit there and plan to do psychotic things. But like from what I can tell, you're a very like healthy, balanced individual. So you're directing that energy towards positive pursuits where you're like, I'm going to take the hardships of childhood and all that, you know, even mini traumas, and take them as lessons and do good in the world and add value. If you had bad parents or bad things happen to you, man, I feel sorry for, bro. When you hear on the news that someone's messed up, they've gone on a shooting rampage, they're hurting people, they're doing X, Y, Z, man. I think in 1,000 years from now, when we look back at the stats and whatnot, you'll see that a lot of that is childhood trauma. Precisely. And undealt with childhood trauma, and people who could have been somewhat normal if it wasn't for the things that came their way, and then they weren't able to just balance that out and navigate, especially in formative years. Yeah.
John, I want to know more about that perspective from what you experienced in childhood. I know from my life, there were a few things, because in school was hell for me, to be honest with you, growing up.
Really?
Up until year 9.
Okay.
I was that obese child who bobbed around.
All right, yeah.
A rockstar haircut, mum said was beautiful.
Yeah.
I think she was the only person who said that. Everyone else disagreed with. Missing tooth because I broke it on a rock or something, and then nosebleeds all the time, right? Easy dummy to like.
I would have locked you in the toilets and just laughed at you.
There it is.
I'm joking.
I'm not saying it didn't happen. Yeah, but like that environment could have easily turned me into what you're talking about, and I'm not, and I would be lying to say that those thoughts I didn't have to physically have to mentally change them.
Yeah,
I have to consciously turn it and make the decision every single time I faced that. Growing up, every time I got bullied, I was like, okay, so I have two choices here. Do I choose love or do I choose hate? Like, what do I choose here? And the fact that I was so wired to choose love, just from home alone, is the reason why I am where I am now. And I can choose that. I can say that I've consciously, as a child, chose from a young age the path which will help the world in a real way, instead of the opposite. I want to know for you, what was that like? First of all, what was school like? And second of all, how did you rewire your brain into turning it into something that you're clearly helping a lot of people now? And how did you rewire it into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's some rewiring goes on, which is like mindset stuff, fixed to growth mindset. I'll talk about that. But there is a lot of innate things. So growing up, life was hard. There was difficulties. I was a fat kid. At times, I was an athletic kid. At times, there's a lot of fluctuation there. There was times where I felt like the odd one out. I felt embarrassed. I felt alone. I went to a new school, like for example, in year 7 with no friends. All my primary school friends went to another school. You know, there's a lot of times where I felt that. And I think what happened is all those all those mini traumas built up, and I started to build a pattern, because in my head, I think I'm very intuitive, where I build a pattern. And what I noticed is every time I'm in a place that's hard, I get through it, and then I'm okay the next day. I was okay. Lucky I was okay, where I actually had a home and a sanctuary to go, like a reset, you know. So I've got that, and then I'm like, okay, I can do that. If I can do that, I can do it again. Going to footy training's hard. I'm fat, I'm slow, I can't run the laps, the coach is going to yell at me, I'll try my best, but if I can just get to the end of this, get home, reset, whatever, then I'll do better next time. And there was a 1%, like, you know, habits mindset about, you know, micro improvements, where I think naturally I was inclined to do that. All right. That mixed with like a very good home environment where pressure was put on me to continue to persist and never give up. Okay. But then there's still the fixed mindset. And I think this is what you're alluding to, of like, okay, we still grew up in a rough place where people saw the point of the world very differently to what someone that's fully alpha mindset or someone that's fully like Zen would see the world. And for me, I think attaining some success, say financially, in the financial world, building the business, finally getting past the point where I was struggling week to week, like it was hard. Man, I got married at like 22 years old. All right, I was working 5 days a week at Hall Chadwick, trying to learn how to become a chartered accountant. On the weekends and nights, I'm driving my dad's taxi to make ends meet. Meanwhile, I've got a wife I need to take care of because I'm newly married. I'm paying rent in the city, in Pyrmont, living in Pyrmont, paying rent, and we've got $50,000 debt from a wedding, honeymoon, and fitting out a house. And I'm 22 years old, so I'm like, I'm stressed out. I'm necessitous. I've got a mindset of like, I need to get money. I have to get money. I have to work the business. I have to work the taxi. I have to work the job. I have to do because if I don't get the rent, what am I going to do? I have to pay the rent. I have to pay my debts down. I've got nothing. So, you know, that on top of the fact that my parents were financially struggling and broke at times. My dad went bankrupt at one stage in his life where we lost the house and had to redo everything and start again. And he lost the business. And like financial pressure ate me up to the point where if my mindset was broken and fixed in any way, it was the money mindset. The money mindset was necessitous. It was the point of life is to pursue money. Okay, that I had to break out of. And I see a lot of influencers and people like peddling things now where they're saying, get money, get money, get money. But I keep saying to people, I think you're missing the point. And it's something I learned when the pressure was finally off financially. Like I'm doing, thankfully, you know, very well, and I'm very comfortable. Not to, you know, I'm not a billionaire by any means, but financially, when the pressure came off, I realized a very important life lesson that I wish I knew from 5 years old. It's that money is not a good motivator. Money is not a good motivator, because if you are motivated purely by money, when the money comes, you've got no more motivation. Okay? Money can't be the motivator. So if money's not the motivator, what's the motivator? And this is the difference between what I think a fixed and growth mindset about finances is. The motivator has to be adding value. If you're adding value in the world, if you're doing something great which impacts others, if you're pouring out your resources and energy to put an impact into the marketplace, in a capitalistic free market, this is why capitalism is important, money will flow to value. Money flows to the point of highest value. So you have to go out with the mindset, not make money, create value. Money will come. Money will come to anyone who goes into the market and fills a gap. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. All the guys who built the big businesses around scale, like, you know, Bezos with Amazon, you know, even Musk with Tesla, Bill Gates, Microsoft, Apple, Steve Jobs, all these guys went out relentlessly to build a value chain and a value business where in the end it wasn't tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions. It was $1 billion, like billions and billions of dollars, you know, valuation. And like they've built economies and they've changed the world. They didn't go out. If Jeff Bezos went out with Amazon and said, I need to make the best margin I can off this book sale, Amazon wouldn't be where it is today. Amazon went out with zero profit margin, just enough money to keep the doors open, get scale, get market share, then tweak the percentages, just cents on a dollar, and you got billions of dollars there because you got volume and you got traction. Do you know what I mean? Uber, I don't even think they're profitable yet. I think they're still in that phase where they're just gathering market share. Like, let's just get everything. Let's get all the drivers. Let's get everyone. Let's get kill the taxi industry, kill the food industry, whatever. When everyone's relying on Uber, we'll just bump the percentages a bit and we'll be profitable. So again, doesn't matter that they're profitable or not profitable, but really the value is what should be the driver. The money is the metric which tells you if you are actually creating value. So is money not important? It's important, but it's not the end. It's the means, not the ends. It's just showing you, oh, you're creating value here, okay? But then what you do with that profit, okay, will dictate if you continue to create more value at scale, or if you just take your $5 of profit and go home like a loser. Sorry to say a loser, but I feel like that's the fixed mindset. It's like, how do I maximize my profit now? I'm not thinking future. Like, you have to think into the future. Plan for the future. How are you going to create the most profit in the future? It's by creating value, building value. So I had to taste a bit of financial success, I'm sad to say, and a lot of people have to do this, to realize that money was a bad motivator. But if I could go back and speak to my young self today, I'd say, do not chase money, chase value. Whatever you do, do it to the best of your ability. If you're working, do it so that you're the best performer in your workplace. If you're building a business, build a business that's the best possible business you can build. Outwork, outperform, outmaneuver your competition, outpivot your competition, be 10 steps ahead of them. If you make $1 of profit, reinvest it till you have built the perfect machine, because if you do that, you will go exponential. It won't be linear. It won't be like that. It'll be like that, because as soon as you crack the code in life, that's it. Once you're at the top, you're at the top. Yeah. If I said that to myself, being a driven person, that was it. That, if I look at my mindset, like from childhood to 25 years old, if I could go back and say, change that. Forget the money thing. Don't spend more. Why are you in 50 grand debt? You're an idiot. You don't need 2 jobs. Why do you need 2 jobs? You're doing something wrong. You think you need the money. You don't need it. You need to work out how to master your craft, learn, absorb, become the best at what you're doing. And in the long run, you will get the money.
When I look back at that, I see the difference of what that does to ego. Because money is the effect, not the cause. And we are purpose-based creatures. What I heard right there was focus on the cause, not the effect. Focus on the why.
Absolutely. It's debilitating, man. If you're focusing on money as a means to an end, like if you look into the influencer economy now, that's my only problem with like an Andrew Tate or with someone who's just pushing a model for masculinity where it's money focused. Like they're trying to push a hustle. Forget the hustle. Okay, forget the hustle. Think, how in this world do you add value with longevity? Okay, because you will not, like, a hustle makes you money for 5 minutes because you've exploited some loophole, but in the end you're left with money. You're not left with real value. A perfect point in proof with like Andrew Tate, right? Who I love so much of what he says. I'm not anti or pro Andrew Tate, whatever, but like the mindset to lead you down the path of pushing like cam girls, all right, or OnlyFans models, is a mindset of how do I get money now, okay? So if you had the mindset, how do I create value in the long run? Even now, even recently, he goes, in a way, it wasn't moral for me to run cam girls. Like, I don't agree with it. What's moral and not moral? What's not moral is something that doesn't provide long-term value. The buyers are paying for something that's fake. The cam girls are destroying themselves morally and ruining their lives, potentially, if, mostly, in a lot of cases, I think the statistics show that it's not good for them mentally and physically in the long run if you've been down the sex work path. So you're not creating long-term value. You created some money there. So what? So what? And Andrew Tate should know so what, because Andrew Tate says, I grew up in Luton and we had no money and we used to eat out of KFC out of boxes that people left on the side of the road, blah, blah, blah. And you and your brother were happy. You didn't need the money. So what that you got money? Money is good if you got it because you changed the world. Go change the world, add value. Then when you revel in your riches, the riches mean something. What's a gold medal if you get without like running the 100-meter race and winning? If you run the 100 and you win, you get the gold medal, you put it on. I won the 100. Not I got a gold medal. Who cares? Throw the gold medal in the bin. I'm the fastest runner in the world. Isn't that what you want? So it's easier said than done. And I've said this and I get in trouble because I say this to people that are in the money struggle. We're all in it to some extent, but some people, you know, more so than others. Some people still early in the journey. Some people under real financial pressure. And we help people like this. Like my clients are small business owners, mums and dads, employees sometimes, that have financial struggles. So I say this with the risk, and I don't want to seem like, you know, detached. I don't want to seem like you know, lost, like I've lost touch, because I'm not that person, and I haven't. All I'm saying is I'm just trying to reiterate a message to people saying, do the thing really well. Try your best to live within your means. Whatever the thing is, the value will then come.
Yeah, that's actually really refreshing to hear. It's something I almost had a early life crisis thinking about, because when I first graduated high school, I was like, well, what am I gonna do? Like, I want to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I know I'm driven. I know a lot of young men in this situation. I'm driven. I really want to pursue this one thing. I don't know how to make money. I think money's the way. But how do I get there? What do I do? Yeah. And to think that, well, you're saying it from experience, where no, it's chasing value, it's chasing impact, and the money will come. I think that's an extremely important lesson that many young men...
Man, I've seen both sides of it, David. I've seen both sides. I've seen people who chase money their whole lives, never attain it, burns them and destroys them. Okay? So the failure of chasing money is a very high price to pay, because you feel like you missed it your whole life. I sit with people across from them that have chased money for 20 years, not hit, never bought a house, never paid off a mortgage, never done anything financially, and they feel like they missed. And then I sit with people who hit. I sit with people who make 10 mil, 20 mil, 30 mil, and they don't have the satisfaction either, because the things they did to create financial success, they then keep trying to do. What happens is they make it, then they think, oh, what's the answer? I enjoyed making 50 million. Maybe I need to make another 50 million. So then making X dollars is your reason, your cause. And your life answer and motto is one word: more. Just more money, just more of the same. So if you fail and fall off that bandwagon financially and you never make it, you're miserable. If you make it, you're miserable, because it's not a good motivator, it's not a good why. If you're chasing value, all right, where you're like, my point of my life is to help small, like at Latitude, my point is to help small business owners achieve their goals and dreams. If I do that from now to the day I die, and I make $100 million or I make $0, when I die or on my deathbed, it doesn't matter, because I can say I helped small business owners achieve their goals and dreams. As long as I expense myself and put in all my effort and energy to do the why, it doesn't matter. Whereas if you're chasing the money, your whole life, success or failure, is dictated by whether or not you hit or miss. And then when you hit, you realize that you're miserable anyway, and you want to hit harder, because guess what? You got 50 mil. I'll make mask whatever. They got $1 billion. You got $1 billion. By then, we found the first trillionaire. So money's not evil, and I don't tell people don't avoid money and it's evil and X, Y, Z. But the pursuit of money for money's sake, maybe revisit and go, okay, maybe money is just a metric that will prove to me. And I'm an accountant, so I'm tracking dollars and cents every day. I'm sitting there every day. I'm doing balance sheets, work out people's net worth. I'm doing budgets to project their profit forecast. I'm doing everything possible to make sure that everyone's making money. So I'm coming to you from a place where I'm saying, yes, money is important as the scorecard. Let's remember, it's the scorecard to tell you, it tells you something. Are you adding value? So if the answer to that is yes, then the money will go upwards. And that's for me, the big takeaway.
Coming from an accountant, it is refreshing.
Yeah.
Very much.
It's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow for me. I have to remind myself sometimes, like when we're doing work, the point is not money, the point is value. Yeah. How am I providing value to Peter? How am I providing value to David? How am I providing value? What am I doing here right now? Because in 1,000 years, bro, when we're all dead and buried, all that will matter is the value we gave, the connections we formed, and what we leave behind. You don't take the money with you, man. When I die, I put my money in the grave. You know what I mean? As the prophet, what's his name?
Someone said it.
Drake.
It's a song. Yeah.
Drake. Yeah, I think Drake.
Money in the.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's more aggressive.
Yeah. When I die in the grave, that's it. I'm not much of a rapper, man. Unfortunately,
It's just the gym music.
just the gym music. Yeah. Anything to get you hyped up. As an accountant, you do this all day. Sometimes you just need to open your eyes a bit wider and pump yourself up a bit.
That's where the value.
3 or 4 Red Bulls.
Mm.
Yeah, some music.
Is that the value part of things, not the money part of things?
The gym?
The gym.
Yeah, gym's one of the life battles for me. Like you, man, I was a fat kid, so it was always up and down with my weight, always weight battles, always a struggle, still a struggle.
Yeah.
Still getting back into the gym, to keep hustling, keep grinding at that. That's a lifelong lesson that, I haven't learnt properly yet, and I keep trying to remind myself, you're never there with that. I think that's one of the hardest disciplines, man. Training and eating, like your body, that's difficult. So, yeah, I do try to get into the gym. I don't get in as much as despite my very good looks, I don't get into the gym as much as I would like to.
Like sometimes I have to look back from a perspective and say, John is an accountant, and there's so many stereotypes for accountants being the opposite of what you're just describing in your life.
Yeah.
The complete opposite. To think that you've taken a career and a life's pursuit where it's completely financially based, and then looking beyond that financials as to why and where it comes from.
Yeah.
I think that's that advice is the most credible, in my opinion, because you deal with it on a day-to-day from a very analytical perspective, but you also see that that's not really what it is.
And if you don't look at your accountant and go, I want to be like that guy, then you shouldn't be your accountant. End of the day, you shouldn't be your accountant, because your accountant, believe it or not, in this age, that's your advisor. Anyone who's got a good accountant knows their accountant is the speed dial.
Yeah.
Your accountant is your speed dial. I'm buying a car, I'm calling my accountant. I'm hiring staff, I'm calling my accountant. I'm buying a house, it's an auction tomorrow. How do I structure it? Hey, John, family trust, self-managed super fund in the company, buy it myself, me and my brother. Do we need a pre-approval? Don't we? Everything. I'm buying crypto. What's the NFTs? Is there tax on it? Is there not? Every possible thing, your accountant is your speed dial. So if you look at your accountant, he's a loser, fat slob. He hasn't got his life together. I've been that guy in the past, okay? And he doesn't inspire you, then he's not going to be a good advisor. Your accountant's your advisor. Your accountant's your mate. Your accountant is your personal trainer. He's the person, or she's the person in your life that you have to rely on 100%. There's too many accountants out there. They're just number crunchers. Do you know what I mean? They don't inspire anyone. They're just literally lodging paper forms to the ATO telling you how much you have to pay in your BAS and your tax return. They don't care about you. They don't care about themselves. They just want to get through the day in their loser existence, punch some numbers and go home and watch TV. Like, if that is the caricature of accounting, that's what I'm trying to change and I'm trying to break. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want my staff to be that. We're trying to train up a team of people. It's like, okay, we found a new way of being an accountant. Literally the leaders, literally the inspiration, the trailblazers of small business and lifestyle and those things. How do we now scale that? Like, I need to train the next year. So if you if you're a young guy, you're like in year 12 right now and you're watching this, you need to apply for a Latitude Accountants cadetship next year, because we're taking in applicants.
Oh, let's go.
We're taking in applicants, but we're training people not to just be number crunchers.
Yeah.
We're training them to be leaders, to be fit, healthy, successful, switched on, alpha mindset, go-getters, so then they can be the trailblazers that teach their cohort, their peers, their business, the next generation of business owners, how to think big picture and go for it. Yeah. Accountants rule the world. The number crunchers rule. Look at all the CEOs of the top 500 companies. They're all accountants. Governments run by accountants. All the number people, all the number crunchers, secretly accountants rule the world. I don't care if it's government ruling the world. I don't care where it is. If you go to a church, it's the treasurer. If you go to a club, it's the treasurer. If you're in government, it's the treasury department, the finance, the CFO. Accountants. We live in a numbers age and economy. Everything's recorded. Everything's accountants. So the accountant needs to be someone you respect and needs to lead the way. If you have a loser accountant, you should fire them right now and hire someone that you respect.
Direct message to all listeners. Announcement. Oh, man. No, actually, I've I completely, after meeting you, that has changed my perspective. And I'm not saying this to butter anyone's biscuits, all right? But genuinely, meeting the team last time I went in the New Sydney Olympic Park office, I was like, these guys are more than accountants. It feels like family. It feels like people I'd hang around with on a Friday night after a long day of work, which I never do, but I'll do it anyway because these people...
you don't like hanging out with people because you're a psychopath.
Exactly. Precisely. And you're a psychopath. So yeah,
okay, we hang out.
In a little corner on the side of the bar. Yeah, that's it.
I'll meet you at my house later. We'll get all the plastic, lay it down. We'll prepare for our mass, the mass murder.
Usually there has to be a bunker for that.
A bunker,
Like it's sheltered from nuclear bombs, but
of course.
We'll do that later,
Of course.
And the best part about it wasn't the fact that I beat you and flogged you in an arm wrestle, but the best part of going there, believe it or not, it wasn't
me, it was Pat.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you flog me too?
It's fine, bro.
Yeah,
I know
you would.
I know you got knocked out from it, but it's okay.
Just to set the record straight, you 100% would. I just don't think I had the privilege.
Yeah. No, I think you actually got knocked out, but it's fine. No, it is
fake
really
news, bro. Fake news.
See that? It was actually a privilege to see that. I think beyond just what you offer, what anyone offers, it's the culture that's behind it. And I've never looked at it from that perspective, from accountants being the people who control the very resources that the world functions under. And it's true, that's what you do. And to do that, I would hope that the person who does that has the right intentions for not only me, my business, but the world. You know, like how are they linking my business to the world? I want no people in my corner. Like we just had Joe Avati on, and he's like, I'm sick of yes people. Yes. I want no people in my life. Yeah, right? Absolutely. And I'm like, I want my accountant to be a no person. Yeah. To say, bro, we're not going to give you fraudulent tax returns. Yeah. All right. Even though I'm not saying that you don't. Yeah. And
you can please feel free to say we don't, because we don't.
You absolutely don't. We definitely on the record, they don't. But like just like you do it, I want the people who control my money and who can see everything that's happening behind the scenes to say, bro, this isn't cool. Yeah. This isn't cool. I would recommend putting it here as advisors. This is what works. This is what we've seen work. I'd recommend go for it. And I want them to back it and them to be the people who run businesses and lead, not just number crunchers, of course, who don't actually do things like teachers who teach engineering, who have never been an engineer, or teachers who teach business, is now Harvard graduate, MBA, who have never actually done business. I want accountants who have done business, who understand what it's like to lead a team. Yes. To also look at my financials and go, bro, do this instead. That's right. And that's what we do. Like I just came off a call leading into here with a client that's just about to outlay $200,000 to buy a cafe in North Sydney. And my discussion with this person was, you do not have a realistic understanding of the profitability of this cafe. Okay, he goes, no, have you done due diligence? No, I haven't. I've roughly looked at the numbers. What have you done? I looked at the revenue, it's 20,000. What's the rent? I looked at it, it's 3,000. And I can roughly make $2,500 for myself a week. Okay, have you looked at the GST? Do you understand that in a cafe, a lot of your expenditure is GST free, so you're going to have a disproportionately high GST bill compared to other businesses. Your $2,500 after GST and tax might only be $1,250 a week. You might only be making $50,000 to $70,000 a year. Okay, not 100, 120,000. So if you're buying the business for 200, do you understand you won't pay it off in 2 years? You might be paying it off in 4 years. Would you still be buying it if you thought like that? Have you looked at the lease? He said it's got a lease. How many years? I don't know. Do you realize that if you buy it, it doesn't have a lease, you can pay for the business and get kicked out in 12 months because you have no rights to operate in the building? There's so many things like that. Like I'm dealing on the daily, like people don't understand what accountants do. It's all the problems of business. You become the person that they all center around you. Just in this week alone, I'm dealing with a guy who wants to buy a business, has no idea the cafe if it's profitable. I'm dealing with a partnership dispute. 4 partners, 2 want out, 2 want to keep the business. They're fighting about how much money they should pay the 2 partners that are leaving. We're sitting around the table, we're negotiating with them, helping them work out how much to pay to get the other partners out. Excuse me. We're dealing with the fact that I've got a bunch of brothers in a business working together.
they all take equal wages. One of them wants to buy a car. It's more expensive than the other cars that the brothers don't have. So how do we mitigate around the fact that if we have different value derived from the business, how do we equalize so everyone's, receiving equal value back out? My car's worth 100 grand. I don't have a car. So working the personalities and the numbers out so everyone's even keel. Do you know what I mean? Working with someone who's been hit with legal notice that their supplier is saying if they don't sign it and say they will exclusively only buy from them, they're going to stop providing supplies to them in the steel industry. How do we navigate around that? Is there an alternate supplier? Let's get a lawyer in to make sure the agreement's good. We're dealing with a case where someone's buying a property which is a duplex site, looking at something called deed of partition. I could sit there and tell you just this week the 50 high-level things and low-level things. I was on with a 20-year-old on Zoom this morning explaining to them what a novated lease is. They work for a not-for-profit. They're getting a car on lease, a novated lease. Basically, they're salary sacrificing some money to buy a car as an employee. So there isn't anyone in the spectrum of people when it comes to from an employee trying to salary package a car all the way up to business owners, up to people worth hundreds of millions of dollars with huge developments. Like, they're having conversations, and that's what accounting is. They're having conversations every day with their accountant, and that's what accounting is. It's conversations about next steps. What are the pitfalls? What's the best way to do it? And tax returns. Sometimes I forget that we're in the tax return business. Like, the tax return is like, that's just, we do financial statements, tax returns, BAS, but that's Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. Like, the rest of the day, you're out really helping people, work out the next steps.
That alone is enough to inspire me for a month.
You're welcome.
Daily dose of inspiration. Yeah. But something I do want to know, because we had this conversation when I came to the office, and I was letting you know about something I was going through in business. Like, we had literally a therapy session. Me coming over to talk about business, it just ended up being a 40-minute therapy session.
Yeah, it goes that way sometimes.
Which is,
that's my fault. I'm sorry about that.
That's exactly what
I missed my calling. It was therapist.
Man, like, me experiencing this is just a witness as to what's happening, and it makes me wonder, because I came to you with an issue that I was facing, wired in the same way, and I sometimes I wonder if you're that person everyone goes to, right? Then what happens when you're facing that issue? What happens? What do you do? How do you deal with it? How do you manage that stress? Who do you go to?
I do what everyone else my age does. We just go to what Joe Rogan says. Whatever Joe Rogan says goes. Look, man, I'm very introverted. So, like, I'm a very quiet, introspective person that spends a lot of time. My mum said growing up, she would catch me just daydreaming, staring at a wall for hours on end. Because I literally recycle through all of life's problems, go back through all my known information, and I work the brain muscle to maximum capacity to try to work out the solutions. Unfortunately for me, being a hardcore introvert, I believe the answers come from within. So I don't do a lot, and this is a pitfall of mine. I wish I did more of this, and all my biggest failures in life are because I haven't done this. I wish I went out and sought more counsel from people and more guidance and got mentors, okay? Now, later in life, I have key people I go to, and I got to be honest, man, half of them, maybe 3/4 of them are online. Like, I do sit there, I do listen to podcasts, I do take opinions, I do read books, okay? Your Patrick Bet-Davids of the world, Hormozy, Gary Vee, all these guys, Tony Robbins. Like, I take in all that. I think that's good, but it's understated. The best thing you need is actually people in your life that have gone through the journey, that are more advanced than you. Call them and check in with them. I've now reconnected with 5 key people who trained me to be an accountant 20 years ago, who've done it all before me. They're successful. They're further in their journeys. Their kids are grown up. They're on the back end looking to leave, somewhat selfishly, because if they sell their businesses, I'm taking over. But that's a different issue altogether. The real reason is I'm reconnecting with them, so I don't need to wait another 20 years to learn, like, the money lesson I learned. I'm sure there's things at 37 years old today that I'm doing wrong, that someone at 57 or 77, including my dad. My dad's a go-to, and my mum. I have really good D&Ms with mum and dad still, and I'm lucky that they're both still around. But professionals, because I'm in the professional space, like connect with them, and like I steal sometimes an hour or two of their time, and my favorite time to do it, because I'm selfish, is when I'm driving.
Right.
I just grab them on the phone, and if they're willing to talk, I talk to them, and I chew their ear off, and I open up all the thoughts. I'm like, I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking this about family. You know, I'm thinking this about fatherhood. I'm thinking this about business. What do you reckon? What do you reckon? I'm thinking this about marketing. I push back and I absorb and I absorb. I consume everything they're putting out. I tell my stupid 25-year-old self, get mentors, and to invest in it, even if it costs money or whatever. There's people willing to do things because that's their way of giving back. Yeah. Some really good mentors offer programs or bespoke solutions for mentoring. Get someone who's done something that you respect or inspires you, and learn from them. At the very least, a sounding board. Like, get someone you can sound out your thoughts with. Because the last element of learning, and this is something I've only realized recently, for someone introverted, the last step for the penny to drop is you've consumed information, you've processed it and thought about it, okay? But the last thing for you to understand it is to verbalize it. You actually have to, if you're an introvert, you have to sit down with people, force yourself to say, hey, Jerry, how are you? I'm actually thinking this, what do you reckon? And go through the step-by-step of what you're thinking, because that's the very last thing you need for the penny to drop. The inverse, if you're someone that's a full-blown extrovert and you're always speaking and you're always telling people blah, 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 for you, it might be switching off, going into your sleep animal, going into some sleep energy where you actually start to conserve energy, consume information, read a book, listen to a podcast, listen to something, and like turn off all outside sensory information. Go do, some sort of plunge, or go to some space where there's no outside things, and like absorb and start to process all the things you know. But you got to work out who you are. For me, it's I need to go out to finish that loop. Some people need to go in.
Completely. As you're saying that, I'm realizing that I'm very introverted as well in that sense. And although I can communicate well, and I've learned to do that as a skill because of my desire for it when I was young and I didn't have it.
Yeah.
I learned to do that, but as a skill solely.
Yes. As
my natural, my space of set of wiring is to absorb.
Yeah.
And to consume.
Yeah.
And to think. Yeah. And when I go to sleep, my brain works actually harder than when I'm with people.
Yeah.
When I'm alone, my brain works so hard.
Yeah.
When I'm with people, I never shut off.
Yeah.
And that's why I sleep so well, because I'm just so tired by the end of the day.
People who are around you are probably thinking sometimes, I don't know where he's at, or I don't know what he's thinking. Like, you're not communicating to the tribe, to the members of your team, your family, your community, what you're thinking at all times. And you don't even like saying things more than once, probably. Because you think, I've said this before. It's hard for me to go on podcasts because I've been on half a dozen podcasts, but I feel like if I've told the story one time to one person, I have no right to ever share it again, because I'm an idiot I'm wasting people's time because I've said it before. Extroverts will say the same story to you 10 times. They don't even care what you think. Do you know what I mean? Like, they'll just say the same story again. You've heard? Yeah. You'll say, you told me this. Then they'll be like, no, listen, just let me tell you. I'll tell you again. Let me tell you one more time. They enjoy so much sharing their own information, their story, X, Y, Z. For you leave people in a void. And I'm assuming, I might be wrong, but it's true that you're an introvert, you're leaving people in a void thinking, I don't know where he's at. I don't know where he's thinking. He hasn't updated me. Next thing you know, he's doing this. He hasn't really, because you're not narrating your life as you go. It's energy sucking for you to do that. You're leaving people in the lurch, and you're missing out on learning things about yourself. And I always am telling myself now, we're now starting to do team meetings at work. We're doing weekly huddles, weekly check-ins, check-in with my wife, check-in with the client, like all this scheduled checking in to do all this loser, boring, this is where I'm at. Like, this is the way my mind thinks. It's it's mundane. We're just doing a meeting and we're updating each other. No, you need to do it. You need the social element. You need to update people. You need to go, okay, last week we said we were going to get these jobs out. These are the hurdles that I face. This is why I couldn't get the job out. You know what I mean? Or, hey, how are you feeling? I'm feeling good. How are you? I grew up in the Bronx, bro. Like, I do not naturally, I grew up hard. It's not normal for me to sit there and communicate with you. Like, if something was coming out of my mouth, it had to be of value. Just to say something, it's the threat of being smashed or ripped by the boys, because you can't just say what you're thinking. You're an idiot. Just shut up. You're saying something valuable, shut your mouth. You know what I mean? That's the, and then you tack that on top of that, like that hard childhood on top of the introvert personality. It's like game over. Like I'm in my own zone. I'm gone. You know what I mean? No one knows what I'm thinking.
Precisely. And then for me, it was adding the fact that my dad had such high expectations of me, and I wanted to reach those expectations. I wasn't being ignorant of it.
Yeah.
Add that with the raising, with the not being friends with anyone until I offered value to them because I was in that area. And it's easy to get isolated. It's so easy to isolate myself.
Yeah.
And just completely remove myself from the world.
Yeah.
And just to be like, nah, it's my problem. I've got to deal with it.
Yeah.
Which is why I feel so shit when I do this.
Yeah, man.
Right?
Yeah.
And it comes back to that situation.
Because you're processing.
Nah, it's my problem. Like,
you're taking all that responsibility. So why should it be anyone else's fault? So you're thinking like, it's me. Like my sister, she's beautiful, Monique. She's buying a house. She spoke to me, texted me, called me and met with me no less than 25 times to 30 times before they did it. And, you know, I'm very proud of her and her husband. They bought a house and they moved in and renovated it. It's amazing. And I'm very proud of her. But what freaked me out is that when I bought my first house, I didn't speak to a soul. I didn't need anyone's permission. I didn't need anyone's input. I didn't need a single thing. John Saade, in his infinite wisdom of 26 years old, decided to himself this was the right move. Bought a house, half of it was a loan I jagged from my deposit from my father-in-law in return for a car, which he wanted to buy. I paid off the car for him. He gave me cash. The other half, I got 4 credit cards and I withdrew the cash to pay deposit. And then I got stuck on settlement because I didn't have stamp duty. It's another, the hustle story. It's the hustle background that I come from. Like financially necessitous. I didn't have money to buy a house. I shouldn't have bought one, but I made it work. Anyway, it's part of the story. But like, that's it. It's like, how's this guy, me, going out and doing everything, not letting a single, not my dad, not my mum, my wife barely knew at the time I was doing it. Like, it's just, I've decided I'm doing it, whatever. So the same thing that makes me very dangerous is also makes me very stupid sometimes. I can fall into a pit because I'm not consulting with people, the tribe, saying, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. What do you reckon? Whatever. Because why? It's inefficient. I'm driven by efficiency. It's not, you know what I mean? But no, it's not. It's like, that is the bit of the puzzle I'm missing as a person. Yeah. I need to check in with people. And young guys need to do it. Young guys need to do it.
John, like, bro, I am the owner of a company that helps young men in school to check in.
All right.
Yes. Nice. Okay. So that is what I do. I promote the art of checking in with mates, no matter how you're feeling. Because that is a necessary action no matter who you are. And then adding the productivity aspect as to making that check-in worth and with an intention towards something that you want to improve in your life. So it's a balance of health and productivity. I myself am the person who struggles with that most.
It's always the case, right? You're the guy, you're selling that, like, you know, it's like the accountant who never does his own tax returns. That's you. You're that guy. Man, like, I'm doing podcasts, and these are great for people like you and me to basically check in, let people know. My dad's known me my whole life, believe it or not. He watched one of my podcasts a few weeks ago, and he called me. He goes, oh, I had no idea that when you got married, you were struggling financially. What do you mean? What do you mean you didn't know? And then I stopped. I go, no, hold on. What do you mean he didn't know? I had no money. I was working taxi on the weekends. I was working the job. I had credit cards. I was dying. I never once went to him and said, Dad, I need help. I need money, or I'm struggling, or I'm doing this. Like, he's just watching me thinking, oh, like, he's got used to me by that stage. Oh, he just does what he's doing. Like, no, if he needed something, he'd tell me. And I realized I've done my whole life not asking for help, not checking in, and just trying to, like, you know, gritting my teeth and, like, putting my fist together. Does that make me a super warrior mindset? In a way, yes. Like, it does make me feel like I'm accomplished. I can face any foe. But I wouldn't have been any less of a man. In fact, I would have had more skills and been stronger if I did tap into my community and communicate with people and absorb and share with them. Like, I would have had a stronger skill set. I would have faced those challenges even better. I'd be even stronger, more of a warrior now because I did those things.
Yeah. It's such a big conversation that we have with the boys, but also with many people that needs to happen, which is, first of all, what does it mean to be a man? But second of all, why is talking about your issues you being less of a man?
Yeah.
Why? I think a lot of it does come from traditional raising. I do believe so. And I do believe that it can be looked at as weak if you're in the middle of a war and you're talking about your issues. I get it. But then when it's with your wife, when it's with my brother, my sister, my family, and I'm not willing to talk to them about the things that I am going through, and they're my safe space, how am I more of a man by not doing that?
Yeah, man. I think it's like I said earlier. It's the trade off. It's the personality. It's the person. You're gonna have people who their go to is to just every single thing 1,000 times a day, put their problems on everyone else, overshare. It's not a problem that they're sharing, and they're not less of men for doing that. But what their problem is they're not doing the inverse, which is the processing. They're not going away. Okay, now you've told dad, you've told mum, you've told your brother, you told your business partner, you called that, you told your girlfriend. Have you shut off everyone? Have you gone to your room? Have you forced yourself to do the introvert thing where you're like, okay, I'm in this jam. I've told everyone, I've got all the opinions. I'm going to process. I'm going to puzzle this out for myself. Yeah. Okay? If you do all that and then you go and do the flip side, good. Okay? Then that's great. If you're just broken record and it's like outward, but not doing any puzzling and self-discovery yourself on the inside, you're stuffed. If you do all the self-discovery, they're the guys, and do none of the outward, you're also stuffed too, because guess what? You're in a echo chamber of John Saade. John Saade thinks this. Oh yeah, John Saade, what do you think about that? Yeah, that's good, John Saade. I think that's a great idea. Let's do that. But it's just one person. Yeah. It's you in your own head. Go out, get the opinions, do the thing. But what does it mean to be a man? I want to ask you, what's your opinion of that? Because that question is a cracker question I've been asking myself. And it's a bit like what is a woman, which is a different question, but let's stick to what is a man. What is a man? Have you conjured up something in your introspective introvert world in that mind of yours? Have you put a thesis together? The David Eade version of what is a man?
Oh, that's it. Look, you're asking a 22-year-old.
Yeah. But I want to know where you're at.
I'm not putting myself at a lower perspective in any way. You're asking a 22-year-old who has made it his life mission to help young men understand what it means to be a man. So yes, I'm thinking a lot in that introverted space about what it means. And to be honest with you, I look at it as human. I look at it as human who was born as sex-wise, a male.
Okay?
Yeah. Yep. So if I'm born a male and I grow up with the tendencies, the biological tendencies of being a male, which means I genetically am predisposed to have more testosterone.
Yes.
Which means I'm predisposed to want to go and challenge, arm wrestle. There it is.
Yeah.
Challenge. If someone says something, I'm going to be more disagreeable than I am agreeable towards it. Generally, right? I'm more predisposed to want to be driven and to isolate when something happens, to fix someone else's problems and fix the problems of people around me, want to be that protector than otherwise. Generally. And there's a spectrum of masculine to feminine energy, like a yin and yang.
Yeah.
Just like the world is a balance of the two. Now I think more women are becoming more masculine, which isn't a problem. It's just a balance. It's a lack of men being warriors and going out and fighting and hunting. And because of that withdrawal, women are also taking that front. Now, do I think biologically women have that? No. I think they just, over time, it's like this is what we need to do. We need to now become more masculine. We need to start going out into the workplace. We want to go out and have our own careers. We don't want to be controlled by someone else, etc. So I think ultimately, the way I've looked at it is human is a male that is deciding to become the best version of themselves, which comes with general stereotypes, which can serve many people of having more masculine traits. Yeah. But for me,
what's a masculine trait?
Anything that allows that testosterone results in, or testosterone is the cause of. Yeah. Okay. Basically.
So risk taking and
overcoming challenges in the risk sense. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. I like the way you spun that, because I've been puzzling this question in my head a lot when I stare at the wall on my own in my bedroom. I think I like to really narrow things down and dumb things down to really basic concepts. I think in the world there is a spectrum. I think there are women who on a spectrum are more masculine. Precisely. And there are men on a spectrum who are more feminine. And statistically this comes out in things like, gay, lesbian, things like that. People do things, born that way, not born that way. That's not my argument. But when it comes to the real two-dimensional element of masculinity, I'm puzzling in my head if that is really the outpouring of oneself and all their effort, resources, and energy for others. So the masculine is basically taking everything they have and converting that into effort and value for people around them. And the feminine, in a way, takes that and absorbs it in and directs it for her children. Do you know what I mean? So like if you look in a traditional marriage role sense, like a man goes out and works, he makes money, he brings home money, gives it to the wife goes, buys clothes and food and does things for like that's the traditional role, right? Yeah. So in a way, there's an element there of masculine, feminine, where it's like the masculine has gone out and done something sacrificially. He has gone out and done something for others where he's created extra value. Then people in his tribe, in his community, have latched into that. For that simple 2D version, the wife takes the money, feeds the kids. But what's the ultimate alpha and the ultimate masculine then? It's the person who has the biggest tribe. So if you are someone who provides, leads back into what I was saying about value. If you're the person who creates the most value for the most people, you're therefore the most alpha. You're everyone's daddy. Do you know what I mean? like
in the most respectable way.
In the most respectable way possible. You've gone out, you've basically changed the whole world, provided all this value. Everyone's tapping in. Bill Gates is my daddy in a way. He goes out, he built Microsoft, bro. My business is built on Microsoft products. Yeah. I use Microsoft Excel like a boss. You know what I mean? Like, bro, my VLOOKUPs are the best. My pivot tables are crazy. So Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Outlook, like Bill Gates 30 years ago, that wasn't a thing. Every single business owner in the world is now sitting there deriving value from Bill Gates. Yeah. In the sense of, it's very two-dimensional and it's only one way possible. I don't look at Bill Gates as, like, he's got a dad bod and like, he can't lift nothing, like he's pathetic, I'll bash him. But but I don't look at him as that alpha in the masculine, physical sense. But bro, he's spent his life building something which has changed the world forever. And if that's masculinity for me in a sense. It's like, okay, I want to learn that from Bill Gates. I want to be like, how am I maximizing value? But if I want to look at like strength, I want to look at someone like Brian Shaw or Ronnie Coleman. You know what I mean?
I think it does depend on the individual for sure, and that's why what it means to be a man is such a controversial question, because I think people confuse masculinity in two ways. They confuse what it means to be a man in two ways. There's the way which is your level of masculine energy, and then there's your identity as a man, as a human.
Yes.
Right? And if you mix the two, there can be problems. They are interlinked. They are.
Yeah.
Your identity as a man is dependent on the hormones that run in your body, because your beliefs turn into hormones, vice versa. It's NLP.
Yeah.
However, if you base your identity as I am this much testosterone, you'll just end up being a shell of a human. Yeah. Right? And I can see so many people doing that.
Yeah.
So many people base their identity as how much money they make, how masculine they are, how many girls they can pull, etc. Which is all testosterone based, trying to conquer the world based measurements, but there's no substance behind it.
Yeah.
There's no identity. Who am I? What are the values I follow? What are the things which I have dedicated my life to? Yeah. And those values, which I truly do follow, can be inherited. And if you look to a spectrum from boy to man, it's the art of becoming more emotionally mature.
Yeah.
It's the art of taking on more responsibility. It's the art of taking care of people. It's the art of being a protector. And it increases through time the more you assume.
Who pulls the most chicks? The guy who does that. The guy who takes the responsibility. The guy who does all the things in the way is most attractive to women, because he's embodying the masculine traits.
So we're moving back to the argument of value versus money. The cause versus effect.
Cause versus effect. So don't do it to pull chicks. Don't chase women, chase excellence, right? If you're a young man, don't go out there chasing women, chase excellence. But it's inevitable. If you're chasing excellence, if you're leveling up yourself, if you're taking care of, you look good, you're fit, you've got a good job, a career because you're building the world, you're adding value. Bro, your inbox is going to blow up on Instagram. This is what the kids tell me, the ones that, these days, that day on Instagram. I'm from before that.
It's not self-proclaimed at all.
Yeah. I know nothing of this, but it's going to happen because you're out there making an impact in the world. You're pushing on the world. You're doing things. Yeah. This is why people like Tate and others are espousing truth in a sense, okay? And why they are attractive to the tribe to some extent, because they're saying truths. They're saying if you do masculine things as a young man, the feminine energy will be attracted to you. Just like with the money game, don't chase it. Don't chase women. Chase excellence. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Money will come. You'll find someone, the love of your life will come in. You'll have your Disney moment, live for, happily ever after, and children. Yeah.
Clearly, you've figured out all of life. Done.
This is your first iteration. I say to my mates, I reserve the right to change my mind. I know I sound very convinced, but I promise you I will change my mind on many things at many times. This is just the 2023 version of John Saade.
I tell you this because for me, I don't have the exact same opinion at all as you have.
Yeah, what do you believe?
I look at it as there's many truths in what you say.
Yep.
However, there's always room for interpretation according to the individual's life. And I agree with what you're saying because I personally have a very similar wiring, extremely similar wiring. Our raising could be very so paralleled in that way. However, the difference is not everyone has had the same decision-making heuristic and has lived the same life as us.
Absolutely. So there's elements of subjectivity. Despite my best efforts to be honest and objective in everything I say and everything I think, it's inevitable that I'm going to be subjective in my opinions because they're tainted by the glasses I wear, which is my own life experience. Even the factors that I'm making decisions based on are ones that have been presented to me by circumstance or fate or the world as it is, for me to actually be asking that. Why am I even answering that question? The question has come to me outside of my control. So I understand that. But we reduce the world to absurdity if we basically say in everything, it's purely subjective. So we have to find some common grounds where we say there's an objective playing field. This table, for example, is the parameters. And within the parameters of this table, you know what I mean? I believe that these things to be true. Now, there might be a multiverse and parallel universes and X, Y, Z where there's alternate realities for certain people where what I've said today about chasing money might not be true or chasing excellence, blah, 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 in that paradigm. But the paradigm where we have the more common ground we have, the more we're speaking about the same people, the more commonality there is, the more likelihood that that's going to resonate with a person.
Precisely. Yeah. And I think a lot of young men who are in the situation, and I say young men as young males who have been risen the same way we are and have that strong level of testosterone within them, they're going to resonate to this message a lot. It's very easy to absorb that because it hits home. It chemically wires very easily. Whereas someone with more estrogen aspect, say, who is much more embracing, will look at that, but look at it in a very, very different way. Very different way. Although it's the logical truth, the way they apply it to their life is going to be different. Right? Like, for example, two masculine men talking about this will attract a feminine woman, but will encourage a masculine man. So they look at it the same way, they might appeal to it the same way, but to them it's going to be different.
I noticed you said you want to help young men. Why do you hate young women? Are you a misogynist? Is that why you only care about young men?
You absolutely got me there.
Nah, it's good. No, sometimes it's like that, man. Sometimes it's like, I'm trying to help young men, or you must hate women. No, of course not. I love young women. I want the best for you want the best, obviously, for the whole community. And the channel which you're taking is to help young men's lives and improve them for a better community, for women, for everyone. And I'm sure that's it. Yeah, I'm glad that I'm the first person who's said that you hate young women and tried to challenge you on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll be honest though, and I think this comes down to your being a master of your craft and really taking your craft seriously as an advisor and as an accountant. Is that this podcast, no one's asked me as many questions as you have, ever, right? And this is being with people who are very good at communicating. And I think the reason why that is because naturally you have a predisposition to want to do that. And it looks like the assumption I can make is that you've trained yourself to be the best version of the advisor, the mentor that you can be, because you've seen the results, you've seen the value you can provide. And the fact that I feel like I'm heard asking you the questions and this being your podcast is more of a testament of who you are as a person.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. That's very kind. Of course. If you keep saying nice things about me, I'm going to have to take you out on a date.
Something that I'm actually really curious about is you are this person. And I like to make distinctions between the founder and the business, right? Although they're very similar. And usually you can see the business in the founder and the founder in the business. I want to know which aspects of you has become the business and the business is emulating, and vice versa.
Wow, what a question. That's a cracker question. It's a question I'm asking myself. As you know, we live our lives in 2023 via our social media. So it makes you ask questions like, who am I? And stupid questions like that, that people like me and you would ask ourselves. Because you've got like a business page, and then you've got your personal page, and what's the overlap, and what's the persona, or who am I? What's my public face? What's my private face? And I've realized the secret is congruence. For me to be real, for me to basically be a true advisor to my clients, I have to be transparently honest as possible about who I personally am in the public sphere. So if you ask me, hey, John, what'd your dad do as a job growing up? I can't be like, oh, I don't want to say what my dad did for work, that's embarrassing, or my mum did this. Like, the part of me that wants to add value in the world has to be more transparent. I have to say, this is who I am. It's raw, be proud of who I am. This is my upbringing. This is my story. And the more congruence there is between the John Saade who sits here, does a video on Instagram, has a meeting with a client, with the guy that's at home, with the guy that sits with his family, the more personable and relatable I am, and the more people are going to connect, and the more real value I'm going to add to them. I cringe when I go into a meeting with a lawyer, with some types of accountants, with some types of professionals, sometimes surgeons or people like that. And there's this air of formality where they're so above you, in a sense, where like there's a glass screen in between you where there's no human interaction. It's almost offensive to me. It hits me in my ego. I want to crush you for thinking that you think you're someone because you're nobody. You know what I mean? I'll crush you right now. But I'm taming the ego. Anthony Mundine's a lovely guy. He's definitely not one of those people. But there are people who's like, you want me to trust you with my inner secrets. Yeah. You want me to lie down on the table while you operate on me. You want me to show you my bank account, and you're not even being like authentic with me. Like, you can't even tell me you struggled in life. You can't even tell me you stuffed up. You made a mistake. You can't even speak to me with like the way you would speak to your friend. Like, you speak to me in such a formal manner like this. You're so scared I'm going to sue you because you didn't use formal English. Like, that doesn't resonate with me. So for me, congruence, being the person, trying my best, and I'm not good at this. I'm still learning to be this person, but being the real John Saade everywhere, all right? The little bit egotistical, bit funny, goofy, transparent, whoever I am, when I'm sitting with a new client, signing a new client, advising a client, sitting in a podcast, whatever, that is the secret to connecting with people. If I don't make billions and I only make millions, but I was connected with more people and I was more congruent with my image, and I removed the barriers between that person and the business as much as possible, I think I would have achieved something. That being said, there is an actual material difficulty, and I think what you're driving at is brand-wise. If you're the person and the business, what's the difference there? That is something I'm still trying to work out. Like, Latitude, the brand, Latitude, the business, is somewhat connected to me, maybe some of the other client directors. But there is an eventual transition where you can build a team of personable people, but the brand can stand on its own 2 feet. So that's got I think more to do with bringing in more faces, you know. And is that what you're driving at? You're driving on that? Well, then, yeah, definitely. I think you need, like, we're working hard now with all our social media, putting in more faces. We want to get more people out, more people doing podcasts, more people on the website, Because at the end of the day, if I can't train all my accountants to be better than me and take my place and scale and get like that, then I've failed in my mission. My mission and my vision is bigger than myself. If I can't train other people to do what I'm doing and to take some of the spotlight and do all those things, then I failed. So I need to replicate myself. And part of it has got to do with the thing I hate doing, which is sitting there, communicating, teaching, checking in, shadowing, bringing someone in. All right, Michael, for example. Hey, Michael, we're doing a Zoom today. I want you to do this. Okay, do the Zoom. Okay, we just did the Zoom with the client. We presented the year-end financial accounts and tax returns. I want to help you with something. In the beginning, you didn't set up the meeting with an agenda to tell the client what they should expect in the meeting. You didn't ask them if they had any agenda items they wanted to talk about. You didn't ask them if they had questions. In the future, do that. You told them their tax bill at the end. It was like a slap in the face. They were waiting for it for an hour. You should have told them in the beginning. All that interaction, for me, my efficient side, my introspective side, the part of me that doesn't want to talk to people and the part of me that wants to be efficient doesn't want to do that. Yeah. I make no extra value in that moment in my head, and the old mindset, I make no extra dollars by sitting there training Michael to be the better version of himself. But that's the longevity, bro. That's the long-term goals. When you invest in your people and you sit there and you train them and you do something to your brain that's monotony or mundane and it's boring, you go, hey, great meeting. Try be nice to people. It's a good. I know you.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Great meeting. Start with the positives. You did this great. This was good. I was really impressed. You drove that well. You chaired that meeting really well. You need to do this next time. You need to do this. Or you're sitting there reviewing a job. Find your strengths and weaknesses too, man. Like if your strengths and weaknesses aren't any business owner, if operations are not your strength, but sales and marketing are your strength, then invest your energy in that and train your staff around those. Find the person in your team who's a production king. We've got a tax genius wizard person in our business that does produces a set of financial accounts that never seen anything better. His name's Tufik Haddad, my long-term business partner. And let me tell you, the day I said from now on there isn't a balance sheet that leaves this office without him putting his eyes on it first was the day that our files went from 9 out of 10 to 11 out of 10, because he is geared that way. I use his strengths and I say, now, you're not a marketer, you're not a face person, you don't want to sit there and do social media X, Y, Z, but your job is to train the next 20 accountants I bring through this factory, this accountant factory, to be as good and have an eye for accounts and tax strategy like you. You know, sit in this room. I'm going to put genius on the wall. They're going to come in and ask you questions. For the next 10 years, you're going to produce 10 news. Scale it. So I have to, my job as the guy who oversees things, I have to see where someone's strong and weak, and I have to pounce on it and go, you're a tax whiz. You're going to do that. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to sit there and train people how to do balance sheets. I'm going to train them how to do marketing. I'm going to train them how to manage clients, understand client personalities, problem solving, other things I'm very good at. But there's power in numbers.
Yeah. Just the way you're looking at, the way you describe that is exactly how I envision things. And I think it's a very similar way to how almost every founder, every business person, who are the people you're serving, think about it when they first get into it and hope to think about it when they keep going. And it's that creator's mindset. It's how do I create something which benefits the world in an incredible way? And the fact that you as the face of the business now is modeling that, I think gives you the credibility to talk about it at the very least.
Absolutely. There's the founder, the manager, the team member. Everyone's just important and everyone has a role to play. If someone's naturally inclined at a certain part of life to be X, doesn't mean they'll be. I've been a great team member. Yeah. I've been a great team member. Man, when I was hustling as a team member at Hall Chadwick in the mid-tier, they loved me. They said, this guy is going to be a future partner. He just takes his job so seriously, put the blinkers on, do the job, do it, top level files, everything. But then gears change. You become a manager. Now I've got to manage people. I've got to tell this person, hey, you're not doing your job. Do this better, X, Y, Z. The shift from manager to founder is really what I'm going through now. And I've been in business 13 years and I've been a founder for 13 years, but really I'm starting to understand at scale what that is. You can't do it without people. There's no founder, manager, team member when it's a one-man band. You're everything. You're all the hats, bro. But when you've got a team behind you, it's like, wow, pull yourself out of doing team member things. pull yourself out of doing manager things, focus on founder things, focus on setting up the policies and procedures, enforcing them, identifying people's strengths, pushing them into it, identifying people's weaknesses, teasing them at the Christmas party about it. Do you know what I mean? That's what we do.
You know, best believe it.
But yeah, you identify them and then you go, bang, pivot, change. Hey, you need to be over there. You make too much noise. You got a focus problem. I literally sit with two people and I tell one guy, 4 times an hour, you're going to stop your work and be distracted. You're not allowed to be distracted except 4 times a day. You get to lift your eyes off the desk 4 times per day. Because this guy will lift his eyes off and be distracted 50 times an hour. This guy is the guy that dies at the table after 6 months because no one told him to stop. Do you know what I mean? So I have to, it's not a set and forget. I can't sit there and say, hey, everyone, you must take a coffee break 4 times every hour. That's stupid. Because this guy needs to take one and this guy needs to be told, shut up and sit down in the nicest way possible.
Yeah. If I disagreed with you, I'll tell you, but it's... Man, no, I think the amount of value we've spoken about today is superb. And I think if there are any small business owners or anyone supporting small business owners in any way, through family, through relationships, or whether you're just a mate, I think it's extremely important to hear this, to see it from a founder, from a business person's perspective, and as an accountant's perspective, because it gives it more view, gives it more perspective, it gives it more information, more real life, real world data as to what it's like. You know, it's not always easy, and there are different problems. And I think it's cool. I think it's cool to see that in this day and age where social media is a thing, where brand is a thing, that people like you can come out and try to pave that forward. And I think this podcast was amazing, but I honestly believe, and I can't wait to see where Latitude Accountants and where John Saade goes in this regard.
Thanks very much, man. I've really enjoyed being on. I think what you guys are doing are great, and I'm flattered, man. Honestly, if we're wrapping up, I just want to say www.latitudeaccountants.com.au and
that's it. You absolutely.
And at Latitude Accountants on Instagram, and it's been very good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Before I was about to ask you to promote your stuff,
I knew you would.
I wanted to read one thing.
Yes.
Which is when I asked you how your high school life was. This is the exact word by word description. I dominated high school, captain of the footy team, vice captain of school. Teachers loved me, girls wanted me, and boys wanted to be me. I was a leader, athletic and academic, 10 out of 10. This is your accountant.
I've got no ego. I'm very humble as well.
Absolutely. And I'm really privileged to work with such a humble person. It's really...
Oh, man. They should call this the Two Psychopaths Have Dinner. Or have a podcast. John Saade and David Eade.
The only thing missing is food, which is illegal.
Absolutely.
Oh, man.
Thanks, man.
No, of course.
Thanks for airing my dirty laundry as well.
Absolute pleasure. It's what psychopaths do for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I can't wait to return the favour.
Oh, please.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, follow Latitude Accountants. I think you guys will go very far with the message side of things.
Thank you.
Where do you think you'll be just before we end in 10 years' time as Latitude Accountants?
Mate, our vision is to basically be a national name in accounting. So we've set, like, the battle is Sydney. So dominate Sydney, which is basically be well known in Sydney and make a real impact and add value in Sydney. And then when we've consolidated, we've got 2 locations in Sydney. The future expansion of that would be go out to all of Australia, office in each capital city, and grow the team to be formidable, potentially top 20, top 25 accounting firm, but doing things unlike any other accounting firm. It would be basically the best in what we do, and bringing accounting to small business owners, to everyday people in a real translate what big corporates do to small business owners that come from humble origins and like in a real casual, personable, relatable way.
We're going to look back in 10 years. I cannot wait to say you smashed it even beyond that point.
Thanks, my friend. And I'm sure you guys are going to kick a lot of goals too, man. And I'm very glad that I get to see behind the scenes and watch you kick the goals step by step.
Oh, That's the flattery right there. Let's go.
I cannot wait, man.
No, yeah, for sure. I can't wait to get back by that. Seriously.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Lovely. See you
Champion.
later.
See you, brother.
Done. There it is.
Nice.
That conversation was good. If you enjoyed it as much as I do, be sure to go check out more on Instagram, YouTube, and the rest of it, because that was a conversation. Until next time, be sure to connect with Honor.